Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to episode 74 of the Falcoholic Live. I am, of course, your host, Kevin Knight, joined by my co-host this evening, Mr. Eric Robinson. You know him as @Eric_Robinson on Twitter. So before we kick things off tonight, have to ask Eric, how are you doing this evening?
Doing pretty good, man. It's been a couple weeks since we've been on. It feels good to get back on, and it's a good time to get back on. There's a few things to talk about upcoming tonight. So
Yep. It seems like the football gods always bless us with at least one newsworthy item to talk about. So we appreciate you, football gods, for the help here, because it is basically the dead zone. I mean, we're not 100% there yet, but up until, next week we got minicamp, and then that's it until July. But
after minicamp is like, oh my god.
Yeah. But fun fact, the Falcons actually will start training camp a few weeks early because of the Hall of Fame game. So not as long of a wait as we usually would have. So, small victories, right?
Right.
But otherwise, folks, we have a couple things to talk about tonight. We're going to kick things off with some Alan Bailey discussion because that is the most newsworthy thing we've heard in several weeks. We'll also talk about the few couple of little things we've heard from OTAs. And then we'll be taking your questions, of course, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the Falcons' 2019 offense. Because last week we kind of did like a defensive preview. It was not planned, but we did it anyway, so I feel like the offense needs some love too, so we'll hit that up. But like I said, if you guys have questions or anything like that, throw that in the chat, and we'll get to as many as we can this evening. But first off, the news. So the Falcons were visiting with Kansas City Chiefs defensive end Alan Bailey today. Bailey had arguably his best season as a pro in 2018, but hasn't really generated much free agency buzz thus far. So he's still available, and he is a pretty good player. So the Falcons have an opportunity to actually add an impact free agent in June, which is a rare thing indeed. So Eric, what are your thoughts on the potential of getting Alan Bailey into this defense?
I like it. Alan Bailey, even going with me being a Miami Hurricane fan, I'm pretty familiar with him. So going back to his collegiate days, he wasn't necessarily a premier pass rusher, even at the collegiate level, but he was pretty stout against the run. He was serviceable when it comes to getting after the quarterback, and the same is in effect here with him as a professional. Spent all of his career with Kansas City, just turned 30. Not too long ago, and like you said, he's coming off the best season in his career. We had a career high 6 sacks. I believe he had 38 tackles and 4 forced fumbles as well, which is not bad. It's not bad. And I believe I read somewhere he had 10 quarterback hits as well on top of the sacks. So he could have had a double-digit sack season. But he's not that game-breaking defensive lineman, but he's solid. And watching him, I get the same sense that I get from Adrian Claiborne, to be quite honest with you. I mean, he's not going to, he's not going to win a sack rushing title. He's not going to, post double-digit sacks every year, but he's going to be solid. He's going to be reliable, and you know what you're going to get from him. So I don't mind the signings. I don't mind the visit. He hasn't been signed yet. And we may not know for a couple of days or so, but he's been brought in for a visit, especially with this coming on the heels of the other big signing in the NFC South.
Yes, well, we do know that Scott Pioli is gone now, obviously, but the Falcons still have a Chiefs connection with Bob Sutton, their defensive coordinator, who's come over to be the game management coach.
Right.
So Bailey does have that connection. Apparently, he has a strong connection to Georgia as well. I think he grew up in Georgia.
He was born in Georgia, grew up there. Yep.
So, there's always the chance that he just wants to come home and play for his hometown team. So I think that there's a pretty strong chance of this signing actually happening. He does fill a need with Stephen Means, basically, unfortunately vacating his roster spot due to injury. But Bailey is definitely a different type of player than Means. I would say Means is more like a Brooks Reed kind of rotational edge that can do a little bit of everything. Bailey is much more of like your typical Dan Quinn, Red Bryant type strong side defensive end in this defense. So I would see him playing that strong side defensive end in the base, and I think that he's a good fit for that role, and he is a better pass rusher than I think people give him credit for. So it's not like with him out there that it's not like you got Tyson Jackson out there and you
No, it's
have
not that
no
bad.
pass rush at all.
No, it's not that bad.
Bailey is a competent pass rusher. He's not going to be a splash player. Like I wouldn't expect him to get 6 sacks again or anything, but he's a competent pass rusher and a very, very strong run defender. He can be trusted to 2-gap. He can hold up. I mean, he can take on blocks. He's got the size, and he's a pretty good athlete too. So he really, I think, is a pretty good fit for what Quinn likes in that position.
He's gonna, at the very least, with his addition, the defensive line is definitely going to get more stronger and more stout against the run. Like you pointed out, he is for a guy that's pushing 290. He's pretty athletic. He can move. It's not a fat, overweight 290. It's a real solid 290. You're not going to be able to move him off the ball. You're not going to be able to drive him away from the play. He brings some muscle. But that's that pretty much is where it caps off with him. So I know it's not going to excite a whole lot of fans, but this is at this point of the off season, this would be a pretty decent signing.
Yeah, I think he fits really well into the rotation. He kind of fills a spot that they don't necessarily have. I think like a base defense with Davison and Sonata Jarrett in there with Bailey and Claiborne at the edge spots is going to be really, really tough to run on. And I don't think the Falcons really put that much value on having this really great run stuffing rotation. But Bailey would give them a much stronger front four if they know they're going up against an opponent that's going to try to pound the ball. I think the Falcons are basically planning if everything goes right to basically have like a 2016-esque style to them where they're going to try to get up on people and take the run out of the equation by scoring a bunch of points. And ideally that's what they'll do. And I think that's what Quinn's building the defense to do. But
if you look at their schedule, having a guy like Bailey is going to help them a lot with a lot of the teams early on in the season. Having him is going to help them defend Carolina's offense a little bit better.
Yeah.
Going to help them defend Minnesota a little bit better. Seattle is on the schedule as well. Seattle was number 1 in the league in rushing last year.
Yep.
So, again, it's not going to be a collection of great pass rushers, but it's going to be a solid, well put together defensive line that's versatile. I mean, Bailey played some outside linebacker at Kansas City.
He's athletic. I mean, he is.
Yeah. So I would like his signing. I really would.
Yeah, I think they have the money now to make it happen. I don't think he's going to cost more than like $5 million or so a year. It'll probably be a 1-year contract. That would be my guess. But
he could give a hometown discount.
He could. I don't think he's going to demand much more than $5 to $6 million a year, even in a market that was really pursuing him. And he's not getting a lot of pursuit, so it could even come in as less than that. Yeah, if someone's saying maybe I'm quiet, can you hear me okay, Eric?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. Sorry, I might have been sitting too far from the mic. I just get so comfortable. I don't even realize we're doing a show, just kind of chilling, sitting back in the chair. But yeah, I do like the Bailey signing. I think it's actually got a pretty good chance of happening. So yeah, I do actually expect this one to go through. Unlike the Gerald McCoy signing, which I think we were both pretty skeptical that was going to happen. It would have been nice. But hey,
it would have been nice. Would it have solved the edge rushing issue? No.
No.
But you would have had a Pro Bowl. You'd have had a Pro Bowler right next to Grady Jarrett. And then now the fact that he's still in the division.
Yeah.
Like if he would have signed with Cleveland, I would have been like, oh, whatever.
Right. But it's like, I mean, how much playing time is he going to see in Carolina? Like,
he's going to see plenty of playing time.
They just have like so many defensive tackles there. It's just
he's the second best defensive tackle on the roster right now.
Yeah.
He's going to win. He's better than Butler. He's better than.
Oh, he's vastly better than Butler, and he's better than Poe too.
He's going to see plenty of playing time. He's a starter. You can pencil him in. Look, a lot of fans may not like the signing. A lot of fans may think otherwise about the Panthers. But I will say this: that signing makes their defensive line that much better. Like that's a pretty good front seven compared to what they had last year. That's a pretty good front seven. Now their secondary is still skeptical. I don't think their secondary can really cover anybody. They don't have a notable free safety, in my opinion, that can scare offenses. Not to mention, I'm still not too worried about their offense. But that's a pretty good.
The defensive line is really good. Yeah.
If they win some games and that defense is top 10, it's probably going to be because of their front seven. Yeah. That's a pretty good one. Yeah.
Well, that's where they were most successful in the past. It was when they had a dominant defensive line that could cover up the secondary being bad, and they could keep games close and let Cam be Cam and just do his thing. So a lot's riding on whether Cam can come back healthy. I think everyone, we're all holding our breath there. But yeah, I mean that offensive line didn't exactly get a ton better either. It didn't really add much to that group.
Right.
They had to replace Khalil with what? Paradise, I think. Matt Paradise.
No. Actually, Taylor Moton is probably going to be our starting left tackle now. So
that's right. Yeah. I meant Ryan Khalil, the center, because he retired, I think.
Right? He retired. Yeah.
So they got Paradise to play center.
Yeah.
Who's also pretty good. So it's not like that's a huge drop off, but not sure if Paradise is as good as like peak Khalil was, but he's a good center. So yeah, that's unfortunate that he had to go there. I would have liked to see him on the Browns for my AFC team. Closet Browns fans here. But
I would have liked to see him in Atlanta. And when you look at the money that he got, and you look at the reason why he chose the Panthers, like it fits why he would have chose Atlanta. Also, I mean, he wanted to stay in the South. The money wasn't that big. I mean, it was only $8 million that they gave him.
8.5, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, like I mean.
I think they're paying Poe as much as they're paying.
Part of me feels like, okay, why did they not get him in the building? I feel like at the very least they could have called him and said, "Hey, man, let's just come check out the facility."
Yeah, I think Dan Quinn thinks that the defensive tackle group is like set. I'm not saying that he's right. I'm just saying what he thinks. Like, it's pretty clear because they didn't add defensive tackle in the draft. They didn't add any. I agree. Yeah, they did. They did add Tyler Davison, and I know some people are like hyping up Rashid Hageman. Like, okay, let's calm down on that. But it's clear that Quinn thinks the defensive tackle rotation's fine now. Like, he doesn't need to add any more players there. I was worried that he thought defensive end was fine too, even though they lost Steven Means.
He still thinks that.
They brought in someone named Austin Larkin. I don't even know who that man is.
Who the hell is that?
Yeah. But if they bring in Bailey, I'll feel a lot better.
All right, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's still going to be depending on Vic Beasley to be a great pass rusher. So
yes, it is.
That's a big problem.
Well, depending on Vic, don't get me started.
Yeah. All right, switch to talk about OTAs now. But yeah, I know Robert Kelly was asking about the release of Afolabi Laguda.
Yeah.
And the guy that we got to replace him. I don't even know the guy's name that they got to replace him. I think his name is Thompson.
Jason Thompson, a former quarterback, had some stints with Seattle. Like, when I say stint, I mean like a cup of coffee. Like, I don't think he's played a regular season game. But he's been a professional for like 2 or 3 years, I guess, or something like that. I don't know. He's bounced around. Been a journeyman.
Yeah.
Now, he has the numbers. He has the measurables. I think he's like 6'3", 215, ran like a 4.40.
Yeah.
30-something inch vertical. He looks like 6-something 3-cone.
Yeah.
He looks the part. I just don't know about this guy. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know either. And it's like, I think maybe they finally realized, like, hey, Sherrod Neesman's pretty good. Like, we don't necessarily need to replace him as the backup strong safety. Like,
I like Laguda.
I like him too. He must have done something to piss off the team.
Maybe. I don't know. I like Laguda. You cut Laguda, who was 3-year starter at Colorado.
Yeah.
For a guy that's never played a regular season game in his career.
Yeah, I'm guessing that something happened with Laguda that they're like, all right, we're ready to move on because physically, all that stuff, it made it look like Laguda was going to challenge for that backup strong safety role.
Yeah, and I think he would have.
Yeah, but he must have done something. That's my guess. He like insulted the wrong coach or something. Like I don't know.
Maybe.
But it's I think Neesman's fine as the backup strong safety. So like I'm not really that concerned. And apparently there's a lot of hype about Chris Cooper. Like apparently he's been pretty good.
Right.
So as the backup free guy. So it just I don't think the Thompson signing really does anything. I think it's just a camp body. I think your favorites for your 4 safeties have to be obviously Ricardo and Neal, and then you've got probably Neesman reprising his role as the backup strong safety, and then it seems like Chris Cooper has the leg up right now for free safety.
Yeah, I'm not even solid that Thompson would even make the roster.
I don't think so. Yeah. I don't even know if he'll make the practice squad, to be honest with you. They don't have a lot of safeties in here, so it's possible, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I don't think that's a real big deal, that signing. Let's see. Switching to, we did talk about OTAs a little bit. One of the tidbits was that Chris Cooper has been pretty impressive, I guess, as the backup free safety who's taking a lot of snaps with Ricardo Allen out. I guess people are saying KZ has looked good at nickel, so that's always good to hear. I don't think any of us are surprised by that because he played corner in college and he looked really good in the preseason playing nickel, and then he played free safety and was really good at that. So really it's what can't he do? Maybe let's put him at edge, Maybe he'll be better than Beasley.
Again, don't get me started on Beasley, man. I'm at a point right now where I've said enough on social media and it ruffled some feathers to some people, so it's like, you know what, whatever. I don't care. Let's
just address his absence from OTAs real quick because people are asking about it. So we're not going to linger on this, but I think I think it's not really cool that he's missing OTAs, and I don't generally care about OTAs, so this is kind of an exception for me because of who's skipping. Like, if you hear Julio skips, who cares? Deion Jones skips, who cares? Like, these guys are all proven vets that have Grady Jarrett. Who cares? Like, these guys are proven producers. They all clearly have their shit together. Like, I don't care if you go to voluntary workouts. But you know who always shows up to voluntary workouts? People on the bubble, people that are trying to make an impression on the coaching staff, rookies, people on rookie contracts usually always go. Unless, I guess Jarrett, you could say, oh, he's still on his rookie contract. But no, he's on the franchise tag, so he's not. Vic is on his 5th-year option, which is technically still his rookie contract. And Deion technically is as well. But everybody knows Deion's going to be he's proven himself like he's not going anywhere. Vic is not. Vic is like the opposite of those players. Like,
Devontae came. Yeah. Devontae showed up.
Well, Devontae's like an insane team first player. So, like, I mean, so is Julio, but Julio doesn't show up. Yeah.
He's coming off a season-ending injury.
Yeah. Like, no one would have batted an eye if he said, I'm still recovering. But, and it just seemed like Quinn was surprised that Vic was not there. That was the other thing.
It did. And it seemed like he was discouraged a little bit as well.
So it's weird. I mean, I don't think anyone should draw like sweeping conclusions from him missing OTAs, but like I think if you're upset about it, I think it's okay. I wouldn't get upset about most players skipping OTAs, but with Vic, I feel like it's kind of weird. So we'll see. We'll see. But he needs to prove that he's worth a contract this year, or he's basically going to be a backup somewhere.
Look, I get it. OTAs are voluntary. Please, the next person that tells me that OTAs are voluntary, you're not going to want to hear my reply. Like, it's going to be ugly. I know they're voluntary. But there's a but to it. There's a caveat to it. This guy is coming off back-to-back 5-sack seasons, okay? He's had 10 sacks in the past 2 seasons. He's getting ready to get paid $13 million this year, all right? Yes, it's voluntary, but who can trust him right now, week 1, going out there on the field to make some plays? Who can actually raise their hand and say he's going to be fine? He's not going to be fine. I don't want to hear that. Oh, he's going to skip voluntary OTAs and he's going to show up in training camp. When has he ever blown up training camp?
Not that I can recall. Even in 2016, he didn't blow up training camp.
When has he ever blown up training camp? When is he ever like, oh my God, Vic Beasley like the best pass rusher in the league? He's never done that.
Yeah.
Again, who can sit here and tell me that he knows how to rush the passer thoroughly?
I mean, no one that's watched his film with any detail.
Thank you. So what's wrong with him getting a couple extra reps with Dan Quinn? What's the problem?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, these are voluntary workouts. No one's broken. He hasn't broken any rules. He's not going to get fined. Like, it's not about that. It's about the fact that usually when players skip OTAs, it's a certain type of player that does it, and no one cares. And Vic is kind of an exception to that rule because of his stature at the time, at this time, and the fact that he's really kind of on like thin ice with the team.
Exactly.
Or he should be. Maybe he's not, but he should be.
Look, when you have a $13 million price tag, responsibilities change, expectations change. So he's getting paid elite money. Mm-hmm. So he needs to be putting in elite work, not practicing with Bud Dupree. Bud Dupree is not even the best pass rusher on this. Like, come on, that's the blind leading the blind.
Bud Dupree. It's like, oh man, it's like this. All the bad pass rushers from that class.
Yeah, like Matt Ryan is getting up with Eli this offseason to do
go hang out with EJ Manuel in the booth.
Oh, good God, really? Whatever.
Yeah. Now I don't care about him not going to Miller's pass rush camp because he legitimately he's had this charity basketball tournament planned for like months. So it's not
he could have moved that.
He could have moved it. Yeah, no. Like, I'm not gonna get upset about that. I know some people are like furious about that, but. The OTAs thing does bother me a little bit.
To me, it's not really during his going on 5 seasons. What was his biggest question mark? His work ethic. People question his work ethic. People question the time that he put in to hone his skills, and it shows on the field. Because he only knows how to rush one way. To me, it's a problem. If he only knows how to rush one way in the NFL after 5 seasons, that tells you he's not putting in enough work. He's not developing moves.
Well, either he's not capable of learning moves, which I don't think that's the truth because I've talked to Vic Beasley. Like he's not dumb. Like it's not like he can't learn the moves. He just doesn't want to.
He just doesn't want to.
Like Vic is very smart. It's not an intelligence thing.
And he's capable.
Yeah.
He's capable. But like that, again, that's another, granted, it's less of a big deal than OTAs, but that's another well, hell, Aaron Donald's out there.
Right.
Does Aaron Donald need pass rushing help? Hell no. He just won Defensive Player of the Year. Aaron Donald's out there getting better.
Can we talk about that dude having 20-something sacks from defensive tackle? That is absurd. That's absurd.
No, I don't need him to be Aaron Donald. But if Aaron Donald says, you know what, I'm the best defensive tackle in the league, but I'm still going to go out here and do the little things to get better, why the hell Vic Beasley can't do it? That's all I'm saying.
Well, the truth is he probably wasn't invited. He's not high profile enough,
BS.
I'm just kidding.
BS.
They're like, we didn't even like you, Beasley. You're not part of the cool club.
BS. I don't even hear that. There was there was like mid-round rookies that were there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If you should be upset about anybody not being there, it's probably Tack because I don't think he was doing anything. But Tack's got his own things to deal with. Like it's fine. Just
at least
your business. Like
at least Tack is getting one-on-one at OTAs.
Right. At least Tack has been was good last year.
Right.
Like that man put out a lot of pressures. I know the sack production wasn't necessarily there, but
still led the team in sacks though.
He did. That's the thing. Like I feel like it's the most quiet leader of sacks that we've had in a long time. Like Tack produced plenty of pressure and a decent number of sacks. So let's say Tack, for instance, produced at the rate that Vic Beasley did in 2016, which was completely absurdly high in terms of percentage. Tack would have had 20 sacks off of Vic Beasley's percentages that year, because he produced so many more pressures. It's absurd. But yeah, basically we're depending on Tack to carry this pass rush. That's basically where we're at.
I would if they would have drafted Brian Burns.
That would have been nice, yeah.
Right, but I'm just saying if it was a situation where they're not going into the season saying we're really relying on Vic Beasley. I can care less what the hell he does this offseason, but it's quite obvious this team is going to need him to step up, and he's not doing the small things to step up, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're really depending on Tack to be that guy. Obviously, they want Vic Beasley to be that guy, but I think we all know that like he's not going to. So at least they have Claiborne like waiting in the wings to take snaps. Like last year, they had nobody. It was like Vic Beasley and Tack McKinley, and that's it. Like, there's not really anybody else that can play.
Just took Brian Burns.
I mean, yeah, we could beat that drum as long as we want, but
it's neither here nor there.
It's never going to happen, unfortunately. But
nope.
Maybe if Vic is terrible, that means they'll take a first-round pass rusher next year at pick 32 after we win the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I mean they should have, but. Hey, maybe John Kaminsky will be good. I mean, I don't know.
Now we got to watch Brian Burns win Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Man, that's going to be fun. Oh, my God. I'm going to have so much fun on Twitter if Brian Burns has a stellar rookie year. Oh, my God. I'm coming for everybody.
Yeah, I'm just going to be quietly hiding in the corner. just watching the destruction. Dark days ahead, folks. But, yeah, it is what it is. We're gonna have to see what happens. I do like Kaminsky, but like, how much is he gonna be able to do his rookie year? Like that's the issue.
But we can agree he's going to need playing time in order for him to develop in what he can become.
Yeah, I mean, I think if all goes well with the offense, I think they'll be in a couple games where they can kind of just let Kaminsky loose late in games and just let him say like, "Hey, we're up 20 points. Kaminsky, get out there and chase somebody." Like, it's late in the game. And I think he can get production that way, like just chasing people down when the teams are passing like crazy. But technically, he's got a long way to go. That's for sure.
Right.
So
we
will see there. But other stuff from OTAs, Kendall Sheffield did make it back on the practice field. I guess Keanu Neal was getting some his first walkthroughs recently, so he's almost back. Puts tears in my eyes, exactly.
Yeah,
this defense just isn't the same without its Keanu Reeves,
I miss him, man. I miss him.
We all do. It's difficult. It was difficult without him, but thank God he's back.
I can't wait till his first decleater. Oh man, it's gonna be so.
I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be great. Let's see what else we got. If you have any interesting things you heard from OTAs, go ahead and throw it out there. But I know, what was it that?
Well, the rookie offensive linemen look pretty solid. I think they got a few first team reps as well.
Yeah. They've been working them in with the first team. Yeah.
So they look fairly solid, and we noticed early on that they were getting a lot of the right guard, right tackle looks.
Yes.
So far so good with the rookies. They still have some lumps to take. That's a given. They still got training camp to get accustomed to. And I think that's when we're probably going to see them lose a few battles here and there.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it is. All I would say is if Caleb McGarry is hip tossing Vic Beasley left and right, I'm coming for everybody again because I don't want to hear this BS. If he's getting manhandled by a rookie, all right. Okay.
Well, manhandling people is McGarry's specialty, so,
All right. This is a $13 million pass rusher. He better be beating McGarry. If McGarry's taking his lunch money.
Well, supposedly McGarry can't handle speed, so that's
okay.
Big Beasley. Let's go. Like, show it off.
Okay. All right.
Dust him. Let's go. I don't know if we'll see that or not. I guess so. But, Lindstrom has been playing at right guard. I know we've been trying to figure out where they're going to slot him in. But he's basically been playing entirely at right guard, so I don't know what the hell they were thinking signing these two guards then, because Jamon Brown can't be cut. James Carpenter can. So
maybe they were thinking that, hey, they didn't expect Lindstrom to be there, but he was. I mean, I don't know.
Who the hell was going to take Lindstrom a 4-14, man? This ain't Quentin Nelson.
I don't know. But, I mean, at least, well, it goes back to what we were saying draft night. It may not have been the case that they wanted to take him at 14, but there was no way he was going to be there in round 2.
No.
Somebody was going to snatch him up before the end of that first round.
Yeah, for sure.
Just depending on who. So, I mean, he's fitting in quite well. They're both looking physical so far.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is what we expected of them. So.
Yeah, I like both picks still. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. Maybe they're gonna make Jamon Brown play left guard next year.
We'll see.
He hasn't played on the left side since college, but he played left tackle in college, like his whole career. So it's not like he's never played on the left side, but not at the NFL level. So,
right. We'll see.
Yeah, we will have to see. But Jamon Brown's the one that has a future on this team. James Carpenter could be gone as early as next year. So.
Yeah, if I were to bank on it, I would say Carpenter has the upper hand right now. But
yeah, I would think so. Just because he's got experience at left guard and he's the proven pass protector.
Right.
Brown's got the potential to be really good, but Carpenter is the pass protector, the one that you can kind of trust. So I wouldn't be shocked if they just decide to kind of go with the pass protecting option as opposed to like the road grader and Brown, because this is going to be a pass heavy offense. I mean, like they're going to talk a lot about how they want it to be so balanced and all this, but that's a bunch of malarkey. Even though it is because we got malarkey on the team again. So it's just really funny to me how many offensive coordinators they have on staff. Like they just have like all these old Falcons offensive coordinators to make this.
Not only that, but how many former head coaches on staff?
Yeah, so many.
They
have like 3 general managers in the scouting department.
Right. So I mean, you got Malarkey, you got Dirk Cutter, of course. Bob Sutton is a long-time defensive coordinator, wasn't ever a head coach. Jess Simpson, the defensive line coach, is a well-regarded high school coach out of the state of Georgia. So he's never head coached at the collegiate or the professional level, but you talk high school ranks, he's up there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of former head guys in charge here on the staff.
Yeah, they have a lot of experience, and they added Bob Sutton too. I mean, I guess you could question whether his defenses were good in Kansas City.
Raheem Morris as well.
Head coach.
Yep.
Yeah. So they do have a lot of experience now, and we'll see with that. But I guess there was an article today, Jeff Schultz talking about how Quinn was basically criticizing the scheme last year.
As well, yeah.
I don't have an athletics description, so I didn't read it, but.
Yeah, I've had my thoughts about that. I mean, because it kind of ties in with some of the moves that they made this offseason, where some feel that the team is slowly evolving into a 3-4 unit. And, when you look at some of the moves that they made this offseason, drafting a guy like Kaminsky, signing a nose tackle like Davison, bringing back Claiborne, not necessarily really going at the pure speed edge rushers in the draft or in free agency. They did a few things here and there that says, this looks like a 3-4 unit they're trying to put together here. So, I mean, maybe it is the case. Me personally, I don't think a scheme change is needed.
No.
I think the 4-3 under works. I think it's more of personnel than the scheme.
Yeah. And it's the 4-3 under is like Quinn's bread and butter. Like that's what he does. So I don't think they're going away from that. I think it is like the 4-3 under. If you execute it really well and you bring your Sam linebacker down, if you squint, it looks like a 3-4. So like, I mean, it really does look like a 3-4. Like you can play it like that, especially in a base package where you've got your strong side guy kind of coming down on the other side of that strong side defensive end.
Right.
And you've got your, weak side defensive end is Vic Beasley or somebody like that who's standing up half the time. So then you could easily mistake that for a 3-4 defense. But really in today's NFL, like the name 3-4 versus 4-3 is starting to mean less and less because of schemes like the 4-3 under, which blend a lot of the ideas.
But, it's a 4-3 base with 3-4 tendencies.
Yeah.
So, and maybe there may be some tweaks here and there coming within the scheme, but I don't think it's going to be like a full-fledged okay, we're going to 3-4. I can't see that. Even though Quinn has experience in the past working on the 3-4, I can't see it. I don't think there's a need to. I think the scheme works. The 4-3 under works. And I know people want to, question, does it work against the high octane offenses in today's game? Yes. Because it's all about, in today's game, offenses are predicated off speed. And the Falcons have one of the fastest defenses in the league. So, I mean, I don't think that the scheme needs to change.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Quinn was criticizing the scheme as far as like, oh, it should have been this or that, but I think he was basically low key calling out Manuel for something. I didn't get a chance to.
He did call out some players. Well, not necessarily called out players. Basically, there was one insert in the column where he highlighted that the two best defensive linemen the entire year was Grady Jarrett and Jack Crawford.
Yeah.
And Schultz, proceeded to say, so that's 2 out of 8 defensive linemen? And Quinn was like, yeah, the rest were just not up to par. They didn't meet expectations. He didn't say names, but, I mean, come on. You can put 2 and 2 together.
He said 2 were good. The other 6, therefore, not good.
He pointed out the 2 that were good, and everybody else was like, I mean, come on. Yeah. But
Crawford was really good. He needs props for that. Like, that man played way better than anyone expected from the interior rush spot, which is probably part of the reason they didn't feel like they needed to add a big-time defensive tackle. We'll see how that pans out. Like, obviously, Grady Jarrett's really good, so if Crawford can consistently produce like that, then you're kind of basically splitting the difference. Like, you're going to use Crawford as your nickel guy, and you're going to have someone like Davison as your base guy, Davison or Sonata or whoever. And that's going to kind of, for like a quarter of the price, produce the same as like a $10 to $12 million a year defensive tackle. I think that's what they're hoping for. So, and we'll see. And then obviously Sanat, what can we expect from him in his second year? He was fine last year. I mean, he was even good at times. So, like, he seems like the forgotten man to me, that people just kind of forget that Sanat's on the roster. Like, he's a third-round pick. Like, they're expecting this man to make significant strides. So, I think that basically Sanat is going to be like like Grady Jarrett's guy that's going to come in when Jarrett needs to take a rest, because I think he can kind of fill the same role. We'll see if he can do it anywhere close to as efficiently as Jarrett. Yeah. But I think we should expect more from him. And then, Edge is obviously scary. Very scary. In a bad way. Just basically, let's run it back. Like, run it back on 2018.
I'm worried, man. I'm worried because I truly feel that this, for the most part, I think the season rides on that.
Yeah.
Honestly, as good as this offense is probably going to be, the edge group is going to have to close games. And if they can't close games, we're going to see a bunch of shootouts. And I'm worried. I really am. That's the biggest question mark on the team right now.
No, and like that is how it is for me too. Like, if this pass rush can be average, I think they'll be good. Like, they'll be fine. But if they can't get to average as a pass rush, they're going to have problems. They're going to have big problems. So it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Robert Kelly's asking, because it might look like a 3-4 defense, is that why we're seeing Tack get some run at linebacker? It's OTAs. Like, I think basically what they're doing is just teaching Tack some stand-up techniques so that he can blitz from a stand-up position if they need it. Like, I don't think he's going to play snaps at strong side linebacker outside of, like, a handful of snaps throughout the season as, like, a weird look.
But you saw it every now and then that he did rush standing up.
Yeah.
I think they're, like Kevin said, I think they're teaching him some tendencies here and there, but I don't think it's going to be a full-fledged Tack as a strong side outside linebacker in a 3-4 scheme. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah. Devin Siege asks, is next year's class deep in D linemen? There are some good ones for sure. Like, Raekwon Davis went back to school. There's definitely some good ones. I know next year's supposed to be like legendary at wide receiver. So I'd expect, if the Falcons do decide to move on from Sanu, that they'll be looking at a receiver, not in the first round, but there's going to be a lot of depth too. So
I don't. The edge class is not as foundational as this class was.
Yeah. They don't
But
have like a star name like a
not
Nick
really.
Bosa at the top or whatever.
Not really. Chase Young is probably the best prospect right now at edge, but the interior defensive line in next year's class, yeah, you can get some studs there.
Yeah.
Definitely, you can get some guys. You mentioned Raekwon Davis, Rashard Lawrence out of LSU is another one that comes to mind. You can get some really good guys next year, but again, this is somewhat a position of strength for the Falcons, the interior defensive line. So I don't know if they're really going to be looking for that early on. We'll see.
Yeah, I guess it'll depend on how this group plays this year. Like if they all play really well, and Jarrett doesn't leave, which I still think he's going to get his contract before July, but there is the chance that they don't get it done and he walks next year, I guess. But it's unlikely, I think, but it is possible. So if that happens, obviously they're going to be drafting a defensive tackle in round 1. But if not, it will probably depend on the play of the group. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go early next year. I know Sigi had a question about will we be doing a way too early 2020 mock, and I don't really know that much about 2020 prospects at this point. But just looking ahead. I'm not doing one for a while, I can tell you that. But
I could, but I'm not doing it.
Yeah, thedraftnetwork.com. They have a problem. They have a problem, and is that they're obsessed with the draft at all times. So if you're obsessed with the draft too, you should go there because I'm pretty sure they've had like 6 2020 mock drafts already. So definitely check them out. They're great guys. But yeah, I'm trying to think where they could go early next year, and it's just kind of hard to tell. Like, I mean, edge would be good, but.
Edge would be a spot. I don't keep an eye on linebacker because they've been flirting with taking linebackers early the past couple drafts, especially and also strong side linebacker as well, because with the possibility of Devondre Campbell might not being re-signed when his rookie deal is up.
Yeah.
I can't exclude center.
I don't think it'll be in the
maybe not round 1, but
yeah, day 2.
I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of sort of did what the Saints did and get one in the second round.
Yeah,
maybe third.
Yeah, I would have been happy with someone like Bradbury, like this year, that they could have play guard and then play center after Mac retires. But yeah.
Depending on what we get from Devontae Freeman, I don't think that's out of the question, to be honest with you.
A running back in the first round?
It's happened. We can't discredit it.
I mean, when's the last time we took a running back in the first round?
What do you when the last time the Falcons took one in the first round? Who cares?
I'm just saying they're not going to do that.
You're starting to sound like Ledbetter.
It's not that. It's just like teams like Dimitrov is new school. Like he's not going to draft a running back in the first round. But I agree that they're totally willing to do it on day 2. They've done it before. They did it with Coleman. They're totally willing to do it on day 2. But we'll see. It's not out of the question. Remember what I said? They were never going to draft a wide receiver in the first round. Then they took Calvin Ridley.
I was going to say that they took Ridley.
But at least they had a history of doing that. They took Julio, okay?
but that wasn't the reason why they took him because of the value there. Like never know. I can't exclude it.
No, you can't exclude. I mean, anyone that says they know 100% what's going to happen in 11 months from now, they're lying to you. So don't listen to them. But yeah, so it'll be interesting. I do like, before we transition, Trey Crawford as that potential guy that could take over for strong side linebacker next year. He's one of our undrafted guys. He's been impressive, I guess, in OTAs. Very athletic. Was a guy, I guess, that the Falcons had to outbid several teams for. They gave him a fat bonus, I think, to come to Atlanta. And the thing about strong side linebacker is you don't have to invest premium resources in the position because it's kind of unfortunately kind of a devalued position in the NFL, like fullback, because it's a base only spot. It's not something that's highly prioritized by teams. So you can oftentimes get one, on day 3 or an undrafted free agency. I mean, Campbell, day 3. So
Also because a lot of teams are going with 2 linebacker looks.
exactly.
And they're starting to play 5 DBs more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. So if Trey Crawford can prove that he's a quality option, they may have to move on from Campbell for financial reasons. So
right.
keep an eye on him as that.
What's interesting is at this stage, Crawford is the better pass rusher than Campbell was coming out of college. So
yeah,
I mean, you watched enough football to know, man. If you can get after quarterback, that's a ticket in the league. You'll find a way to make some rosters if you can get after the quarterback. You may not be able to run fast, you may not be able to make interceptions, but if you can sack Tom Brady numerous times, somebody will sign you.
We got you. We got space for you on this roster. So
somebody, yeah. So as long as Crawford can show that, I think he can definitely create a spot for himself here.
Yeah, I don't think he's quite as athletic as Campbell was. Campbell was basically just a raw athlete coming out.
Yeah,
remember that.
But Crawford's tape, man, like he finds ways to get to the quarterback, dude.
Yeah,
he's always around the quarterback. I don't get it. He's severely undersized for a pass rusher.
Yep.
I'll be damned if he's not at least hitting the quarterback. Something Vic Beasley didn't do.
Yeah,
My bad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that.
Oh no, you brought that back up. 15 more minutes about Vic Beasley. Go. No, but I do like Crawford a lot. I think, players of his size aren't going to be able to make it as full-time defensive ends in the NFL. It's just how it is. But as a strong side linebacker that can blitz very well, yeah, absolutely he can. And he's got enough athleticism, I think, to play in space. We'll see if he can cover tight ends. That's one thing the Falcons generally ask their strong side guy to be able to do. But he's got potential. I think he's one of the UDFAs with a real shot at the roster and at least a practice squad spot. So
I think it's only a couple guys, honestly.
There's really not very much opportunity to make the roster for the undrafted guys. Maybe linebacker, maybe a backup center like Chandler Miller if he shows out. Maybe there's a chance he can make the roster as a backup center. Maybe one of the safety backup spots if someone really shows out. But like corner, there's zero chance. Wide receiver, basically zero chance. I mean, maybe, but probably not. Yeah, so it's going to be tough. And we can use that to kind of segue into our offensive preview here. Because this offense should be really good, right? Like, it should be a top offense this year. So let's start, obviously, with the quarterback. We know Matt Ryan's great. So there's not really much to say about that. If you don't like Matt Ryan, then get out. Get the hell out. But it's really the bigger question is, like, who's the backup going to be? Because Matt Schaub is ancient at this point. He is making a lot less money, so I don't mind it so much. But Kurt Benkert's still here. He's still going to compete. And I think he was somewhat close to replacing Schaub last year. Like, he showed in one game that he was competent, and then he didn't really repeat that performance. And Schaub didn't exactly look great either, but he was okay, so they kept him. What do you think the chances are that Benkert could actually leapfrog Schaub this year?
I think it's going to be dependent on whether or not Cutter still wants a veteran on the roster. I think Benkert has ability. Is he ready to leapfrog a former starter? I got to see him in game.
Yeah.
I got to see him in game to say that. But it wouldn't surprise me with such the veteran overhaul on the coaching staff for them to say we need some veteran overhaul on the roster. And I wouldn't be surprised if they say, hey, take another year in the practice squad, let's Schaub back up. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I got to see Benkert in the preseason too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's when we'll know. Like, if Benkert can replicate he had that one really good game. If he can repeat that.
Yes, right.
I think it was. Yeah, he looked really good in that game. And everyone was like, oh, man, Benkert Hive, let's go. I remember we said that because we were covering the game. It was one of the only exciting things.
Yeah.
But he needs to repeat that, like, multiple times. And he'll have the opportunity because they're playing 5 preseason games. So
Right. You have plenty of time.
So if he looks really good in preseason, I think that's his ticket. But if he stumbles then he'll probably, if he looks, it really gets interesting if he looks good, but not like, can we really trust him? And then they have to decide, like, can we put him on the practice squad, or do we have to carry 3 quarterbacks? And we've basically seen that the Falcons aren't willing to carry 3 quarterbacks in this under Dan Quinn. I don't think they've ever done it. So that'll make things interesting. But yeah, that's one of the more interesting roster battles to follow for this offense. Moving to the big nasties, the hog mollies, whatever your preferred way to talk about offensive linemen. This unit should be much better. We're looking at, I guess, based on what we've seen so far and what we expect, probably left tackle Jake Matthews, left guard James Carpenter, Alex Mack at center, Lindstrom, the rookie, at right guard, and McGarry, the rookie, at right tackle, assuming what we expect to happen. It should be a better starting 5 than last year, but we should expect some rookie growing pains from that right side, particularly with their kind of murderer's row they have early in the season. So that will be interesting.
Yeah, man. They getting Everson Griffin and Daniil Hunter right off the bat.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. And then what's really nice this year is the depth they have at offensive line, which is pretty fantastic. Outside of the backup center, which apparently is Wes Schweitzer based on what we've heard, they've got Jamon Brown, a starter. They've got Tyson Braylo, who was a pretty solid starter last year when he had to as the swing tackle. And then they just have a bunch of interesting names. Like, they do have Matt Gono, who was last year's undrafted tackle that they paid $50,000 in signing bonuses to as an undrafted guy, which is a lot for those who don't know. That's like almost all their bonus money. So they clearly like him as a long-term guy. They have so many names and so many just kind of bodies, as opposed to what we've seen in the past where it's like they're struggling to put 5 quality players out there. So ideally we should see a much better preseason offensive line performance this
year. Yeah, they have, of course, they have Jake and McGarry, like you mentioned, Gono. Sambrailo's still around, of course, as well. John Wetzel, the veteran signed from the Cardinals, that's another one.
He's not making it. I'm telling you that right now.
I don't think he's going to make it either. They signed Geddes, another guard.
He's not making it.
He's not going to make it either.
That man hasn't played a game in 2 seasons.
What was the tackle that they signed the other day from the Ravens?
Dugo?
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a great name. He's got that going for him.
Why?
Yeah. No idea.
Why?
No idea whatsoever. But whatever, man. Whatever floats your boat, Falcons.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever floats your boat, man. Whatever you want to do.
Joseph Dugo or something like that.
You want to create competition? All right, cool. Yeah, cool. Let's have 73 offensive tackles so we can find out which 2 are going to start.
Yes, it'll be like a battle royale. They'll just fight until there's only 2 tackles remaining, and those will be
whatever you want, man. Whatever you want. But yeah, they're much deeper. Remember, you and I said earlier in the offseason, man, the offensive line was a pain in the ass last year.
Yeah.
Allowing Matt Ryan to get hit the way he was, and credit to this front office, they saw that and they said, we're not going to let that happen again. And they've been aggressive as far as getting bodies in and trying to improve.
Oh yeah, they've been super aggressive in that respect. Drafting 2 offensive linemen in the first round. They added 2 guards in free agency. They've added, some depth guys. So that unit should be better, I think, is what we're hoping for here.
6, 7 new faces on the offensive line.
Yeah.
This offseason.
Yep. Yeah. Credit to them. They said only 2 out of 5 spots are set, and they went out and got replacements for the other 3. So we're going to have 3 new starters this year probably. So
best man wins.
Yep. We'll see what happens there. But let's switch over. Let's do wide receivers next. And I think, and I've talked about it before, but I think that we could. I think the Falcons at the end of this season, if the offensive line holds up, we'll talk about this trio of Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Mohamed Sanu as the top trio in the NFL.
We should be talking about that right now.
Well, I'm talking about it now, but and SB Nation knew. I forget, maybe it was Charles that wrote that, but I can't remember. But somebody ranked the Falcons wide receiver core as the top in the league. And I think that, I don't know from top to bottom if it's the best, but the top 3 definitely, I think. So.
Who did that?
I don't remember who wrote it, but it was SB Nation. It was like the mothership site. So, yeah. I do think that that trio is going to be the Falcons' bread and butter. That's how they decimate teams. If you don't have a good secondary and you don't have a good nickel, the Falcons are going to eat you alive. That's just how it's going to be. They also have a top 10 tight end in Austin Hooper. I don't think that's a hot take anymore. Like, I think he's kind of proving himself as one of the better tight ends in the league. Not like top 5 or anything, but he's. I mean, try to name off like 9 tight ends that are even better than him, and it's
Travis Kelce.
Hunter Henry if he's healthy.
Give me time. Yeah. Hunter Henry. Jordan Reed if he's healthy.
Just the answer is no to that one. There's just not that many like name brand tight ends anymore. Like Gronk's gone.
George Kittle.
Yeah, Kittle for sure.
David Njoku.
No, I don't think Njoku's better than him.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Not at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe next year. He wasn't better than him last year.
Yes.
Bruh. He wasn't better than him in 2018, I'll tell you that much.
Yes. Greg Olsen. How many is that?
Like 6.
No, it's more than
6 or 7 maybe.
Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done.
Wait, I have one. The Colts tight end now.
Ebron?
With luck.
You're gonna criticize Njoku, but you're gonna throw Ebron in that conversation after one damn year. All right, whatever.
All right. Well, hey, if you're fine with having Hooper over Ebron, then I guess I'm okay with that. I would say no to Rudolph. Rudolph is a really good blocker, but I don't think he's as good of a receiver as Hooper is right now. Same thing with Boyle. I don't think Boyle's there either. I think Boyle is a better blocker though. Nick Boyle, or is it, or are you thinking Jack Doyle? Maybe is what you're thinking. Trey Burton, come on. Trey Burton's is a fullback. Like,
Trey Burton has so much potential, man, but he's yet to tap it.
Yeah, Hooper had legitimately a very good season last year, and I think he's only going to continue to get better. Like that's how tight end goes. Like you mature and then you continue to get better. It's a position with a lot of longevity in the NFL. So tight end, I think the Falcons are in good shape with Hooper as their primary receiving option. I think he's a legitimate weapon. And like a lot of the tight ends that you guys are mentioning, like Delaney Walker, old and slow. I love Delaney Walker. Don't get me wrong. Like I used to draft that man in fantasy every single year, but he's old and slow now. I'm sorry. Same thing with Jordan Reed. Like I love Reed, and if he's healthy, he is better. But Reed is never healthy. So
Evan Ingram.
He wasn't better than him last year. But I think Evan Ingram does have tremendous talent. But Evan Ingram can't block. He's a receiver. Evan Ingram is a receiver.
And Hooper's not that great of a blocker. Come on.
He's better than Evan Ingram, though.
Ingram and Njoku are going to leapfrog him this year.
Okay,
They're going to be top 10 tight ends.
I do think that Njoku could. I think Njoku has the best chance. But OJ Howard should be better.
Ooh.
OJ Howard should be better. He hasn't been thus far, but I don't think it's his fault.
Ooh, Bruce Arians might make him better.
He might, yeah. OJ Howard should be better. He's like a top 20 pick. Like if he's not better than Austin Hooper, you effed up Tampa Bay. So like,
that's a good one.
So we'll see. But I also think that tight ends tend to get better as they age. So we could definitely see Hooper like improve as well. He just needs to get better as a blocker too. Like he's a serviceable blocker. And then outside of Hooper, the Falcons have 2 blocking tight ends, the pure blocker and Paulson, and then Luke Stalker, who's who's going to be the new fullback, basically, is what I'm saying.
Combined catches for the two of them this year.
Cameron Brate, Robert Kelly, shut up. Cameron Brate is not better than Austin Hooper. Okay, I do like Cameron Brate, but like
combined catches for Logan Paulson and Luke Stalker this year. Combined catches.
20.
Okay, I was going to say 30.
Yeah, I think Stalker's going to get 15 of the 20.
Stalker?
Yeah, because they're going to get all weird with him. They're going to like make him line up as a tight end, then move to fullback, and then catch a pass. Yeah, exactly. They'll do both.
Yeah. I was going to say 30, but okay, we can go with 20. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if it was 30 either. They do love to do those little leak out routes for the tight end. I do that in Madden all the time. Like no one ever covers the tight end.
That's when you remember that Logan Paulson was on the team. I mean, they did that. He had like 2 touchdowns last year in that same formation. He was like, "Oh my God, Paulson is a Falcon."
Yeah, they just run like 3 tight ends and then just spread them out. People are like, "Oh, I don't care about this guy. I've never seen. I don't even know who this is." And then he gets a touchdown. So
yeah.
Running back, that's the big question mark, because if Freeman can come back to his like previous level of talent, you know, the Falcons could have a very strong running game again. I like Ito Smith as the number 2. I think he's a quality runner. His stats didn't really bear it out, but
what can we make of this rumor as far as Duke Johnson?
I'm into it, man. I'm all in. I love Duke Johnson. They don't have a receiving back special. I mean, Freeman's a very good receiver, but he's not a receiving back.
And Ito's not bad.
No, he's also.
I think with Duke, because again, I'm a Miami Hurricane fan, so I'm familiar with Duke Johnson. He has returnability.
Yeah.
So I think bringing him, to me, it makes Kenyon Barner.
Oh yeah, no. If they bring in Duke, Barner's on. Yeah.
It makes Tony Brooks James useless.
Yep.
It quite possibly could even make Brian Hill useless, because there's no way in the hell they're going to keep 5 running backs on the roster.
No, I think Brian Hill's probably already gone.
So bringing in Duke, I think is going to set a top 4 running back. That guy can play.
He's really good. Duke Johnson
is
really
good. He was just misused in Cleveland. Yeah. I think with Cutter, with this offense, you can actually line him up at slot receiver.
Oh, yeah. He did it. He did it last year. He was good.
He can be as good as James White as far as a receiving running back.
No, he's phenomenal. Like Duke Johnson is super underrated.
Yeah.
He was one of the only productive fantasy players in Cleveland for years with terrible quarterback play.
Yep.
Always productive. He is an elite receiving back. He needs to get his due. So I'm totally open to the Falcons bringing him in, because they have capable receiving options at running back, and I think Marcus Green is going to kind of be that quasi receiving back option, which would be a lot to put on his plate. But with Duke Johnson, I mean, that top 3 of Freeman, Ito, and Duke Johnson, that's a great running back group.
That's pretty good. Yeah. That's pretty damn good. There's no thumper in there. You can't give any one of them 25 carries a game, in my opinion. But
Olsen as the 4th guy, I guess you could give him a bunch of carries.
Olsen would be the 4th. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was set in. Yeah.
So I'm into it.
Bringing in Duke would just it would literally knock 3 running backs off the roster, in my opinion.
Right. But all those guys, I mean, they're barely hanging on as it is. Barner's only hope is if he somehow wins the returner competition, which I don't think is realistic at this point.
Same with Brooks James. It's going to be down to them 2. And then Marcus Green can definitely make a name for himself.
Yeah, Marcus Green, I think, is going to win the return job. He's very dynamic as a returner. The only reason he hasn't made waves yet is because he's still recovering from his hamstring thing. So, but yeah, I would love Duke Johnson coming onto this roster. That would be awesome. That would really make this offense super dangerous with the receiving backs too. And he gives them another option if Freeman were to have injury struggles, which I think is important. Because if you're depending on Ito as your guy after Freeman goes down, maybe he can do it. I mean, I think he's a good running back, but if you can split it, then if Freeman goes down, you're like, okay, we can split this now between Ito and Duke Johnson. I think you're fine. Like you're not gonna miss Freeman nearly as much in that situation. But I'm excited about that. Is there any position we didn't talk about on offense? I think we covered fullback. We'll do like 2 seconds about fullback before we get out of here. So they're not going to carry a fullback this year.
I don't know why Ortiz is still on the roster, to be quite honest with you.
They're just doing this man a solid and giving him some training camp checks. Like,
okay, fine. You can let him go to a team where he can actually compete for a job in training camp.
Luke Stalker will be the fullback. He won't be called a fullback. He'll be called a tight end, but he will be the fullback.
Even Olsen may get fullback looks at times.
He did play a little fullback at Pitt. So.
Yeah. I don't. Not to mention they're going to run plenty of 2 and 3 tight end sets.
Yeah.
So
I think they're moving away from that 20 and 21 personnel look or whatever. So So I think that we'll see less of that and more multiple tight end sets. And they basically telegraphed that with the addition of bringing back Paulson and adding Luke Stalker, so they have 2 good blockers. And Eric Sauber, I think he's still going to make the roster. He actually was an okay blocker towards the end of last season. He didn't catch any passes, really, but they're going to carry 4 tight ends more than likely, so he'll probably stick around. I think so.
Okay.
If they're planning on running 2 tight end sets a lot, they're going to carry 4 tight ends. So
I don't know.
I'd be shocked if they didn't carry 4
He's
tight ends.
I think he's got to kill it in special teams.
Yeah, maybe he will. I mean, he's managed to hang around this long.
He's got to kill it in special teams, and if he doesn't, I think his spot is thin.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they desperately need another. If they're going to keep 4 tight ends, he's safe. If they're not going to keep 4 tight ends, he's not safe. So, like, he's not making the roster if they're keeping 3. So, that's really what it is. Like, I don't know if really anything else has anything to do with it. Like, he basically has to prove to the team that they need to keep 4 tight ends. So, no, Jesse James is not better than Austin Hooper. Get out of here with this nonsense. Like, you guys are just trolling me now. Tyler Eifert, if healthy, yes. But when's the last time Tyler Eifert was healthy? You tell me.
Is he still without?
He's still with the Bengals, I think.
I thought he was cut.
I think no. That was what's his name? The tackle the Bengals took that was super athletic that transitioned to tight end and went to Buffalo. Yeah, Fisher. He got cut. I remember I was super hyped about Fisher. That was one of my big misses. But
yeah, the Bengals were too.
Yep. Don't look at 40 times for offensive linemen, folks. It's fool's gold. All right, anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Man, let's play some football, man.
Yeah, let's play some damn football. It's getting deep into the off season here, but
getting a little bored.
Yep.
Getting a little bored.
We're getting there. Hopefully. So, yeah, guys, we do appreciate you all hanging out, even if your tight end takes they're not up to par, but that's okay. Thank you guys for watching. Before we get out of here, do want to thank my co-host, Mr. Eric Robinson, @_Eric_Robinson on Twitter. Eric, anything you're working on that you'd like to plug?
Not currently, but I do have a couple columns out on the Falcoholic. One is a scouting report on Kendall Sheffield. Give that a look. And I have another column out that are breaking down the strength and one key strength and key weakness for each of the rookies in this year's draft class for the Falcons. So give that a look-see.
Very nice, very nice. I'm, of course, Kevin Knight, @Falcoholic Kevin on Twitter. Don't have any content right this second, but there will be content at some point, I promise.
Right.
There will be hashtag content. The rest of the Falcoholic people are doing great content. Solaire, I do see your question, so I will address that real quick. Who do you think the powerhouses of the NFC are going to be? I mean, probably the Rams again, though I think they're going to have a much harder time with the teams in their division.
Powerhouse, like what do you like?
Like the let's say the playoff teams from the NFC this year. Who do you think the playoff teams are going to be?
Rams, Falcons. Well, not in order. This is not in order.
Yeah, not in any particular order. Yeah.
Rams, Falcons, Bears, Eagles, Panthers.
last one's pretty wide open.
Oh God.
Honestly. But yeah,
I'll. God damn.
it has to be the Saints in this situation, probably.
Hell no.
Come on.
Absolutely not.
You just won't put the Saints in there, but it probably should be one of them is the Saints.
I'll say the Packers, but man, am I looking hard at Seattle and Dallas.
Yeah, I mean Seattle with Brian Schottenheimer is just never gonna do it.
They made the playoffs last year, though.
I know they did, but that was
and they've improved.
We'll see. I think they should be improved, but Seattle's that weird team that you think that they had a good draft or they drafted L.J. Collier in the first round. Let's talk about that. They did also get my man.
That aside, they had a pretty. I like the Metcalf pick.
Yes.
I like the Gary Jennings pick. They've improved that receiver. I love their receiver core right now.
Yeah, it's a good. It's much. They did lose Doug Baldwin though.
They did.
Yeah.
And I'm also looking at the Vikings.
Yeah.
Man, it's all on Kirk Cousins, man.
Oh God, yeah.
It's all on Kirk.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's my 6.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'd probably have to switch out Panthers and Saints, even though I don't want to. But unless the Saints faceplant and their defense comes back to earth, which I think they very well could.
I think will. Yes.
Yeah.
Breeze has to hit a wall at some point, right?
Yeah, I mean, if Breeze falls off, then it's game over for them. But we'll see. Washington, Robert Kelly. Oh, Washington. Man, if Washington has a winning record, I will be shocked. The Giants now. Daniel Jones comes in and he's the best rookie quarterback by a mile.
I will say this. I like what Washington is putting together. I love Haskins. I thought he was the best quarterback in the draft.
He is very good.
I love Haskins. They're getting Darius Geis back. 100%. Adrian Peterson is still Adrian Peterson. That defense is still underrated. I don't care what anybody says. That defense is going to punch somebody in the mouth.
Yeah.
It all, to me, is going to fall on Jay Gruden.
Yeah.
It's going to fall on the coach.
Yeah. It's going to be tough for them to compete with that huge cap hit of Alex Smith just eating a hole in their roster. But
I mean, they can still.
It's almost $30 million or something. It's a lot of money.
I think that. I mean, I don't know. Their receiving core has to make a jump this year.
Doxson's got to do something. He's got to make me look good. Yeah,
he's got to take a step forward. I like Terry McLaurin, but Dotson's got to take a step forward this year.
He's got to take the reins. For sure.
Yeah.
And did you hear about Trent Williams wants out? Apparently he's demanding a trade.
Not a good look right now, man. No. And it's not even over money. So those type of situations rarely in a good way. It's not a situation where they can say, all right, here's the contract you wanted, sign it. No, he's having internal rifts within the team.
I think he thinks. I think it's their medical staff. I think he thinks their medical staff screwed him over or something.
Yeah, yeah,
which is pretty hardcore. So we will see.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you? We've gone way over, but I'm just curious. What's your one sleeper team that you think is going to make the playoffs
in the NFC or?
We'll
both,
just do the NFC. Well, we could just do the NFC. We'll save the AFC for next time, so you guys got to tune in.
One sleeper team that can make the playoffs. 49ers.
Yeah, I think that's a popular one. Yeah, I mean that's basically who I was going to go with too. I think the Cardinals are a few years away. I think, but
my palm was itching for the Cardinals because man, they can.
The rest of that roster is not good.
I love the draft.
Yeah.
I love the draft.
The draft was very good, but that roster is not good.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad in a lot of spots. They didn't address that offensive line at all.
No.
So at least Kyler Murray can run away from the pressure, but
he's going to have to.
Yeah.
The Niners though, I like what they did on defense, especially in the front seven, signing D Ford, drafting Bosa.
Yep.
Sherman didn't have that bad of a year last year. He's pretty solid. They need to find somebody opposite of him, in my opinion, as a reliable starter. Get Garoppolo healthy, they can win 10 games.
Yeah.
They got a solid offensive line. George Kittle is a star in the making.
They do have Kyle Shanahan. He's worth like 2 wins on his own. Just as long as it's not in the Super Bowl. And on that, guys, have a good night.
All he had to do was run the damn football.
Yep. All right. Sorry to dredge up those memories, folks, but yeah, we will see you guys.
Damn, Kevin, we can't even avoid that on a random.
We got so close. We got so close.
June.
Yep.
That was what, 2 years ago?
Yep.
My God, we're still
never gonna live it down. All right. Well, yeah, guys, we've gone way over, so we appreciate those of you that have continued to hang out with us. But
just run the ball, Kyle.
Run the damn ball. Yep. Yeah, guys, we will see you in 2 weeks. That'll be after mandatory minicamp, so hopefully we'll have some juicy news tidbits to talk about. And hopefully we'll be talking about a new signing, too, Mr. Alan Bailey. So, yeah, that would be cool. All right, folks, thank you for tuning in. We will see you in 2 weeks, like I said. Have a good night.